I have an Easter egg in this compilation, by the way. I want
Okay.
you and everybody out there to comment below and let me know what the Easter egg is, because you mentioned it just a minute or two ago. I'm going to let it go. Well, the first thing I want to say that it takes an incredible amount of strength. Picking up for the power bombs, one thing, he goes over his shoulder. This part with Scott, Razor Ramon, to do this is all him. The wrestler's legs, as you see right here, are dangling. There's no assistance. This thing here is a shoulder press. So Scott is literally shoulder pressing 200, 250-pound guys like dead weight behind his neck. So if you ever tried to press behind your neck, it's not safe as it is. But trying to do it with a human body, we can't like overstate that enough that Scott was a strong dude. So let's play this through. This is the first one, Diamond Stud. Pretty safe there. He folded over, but he landed him pretty good. And here is another one. Dude, I just want to say, I wish I was in the shape Scott was in. That was, I mean, he was just like, and that wasn't even as biggest. Well, this might have been near his biggest. Razor Ramon, he leaned out. He looked great. So bring it down here. Now, I will say this as we back it up, just on this one. He's landing a guy kind of high like a power bomb. It's not the safest way to land, but Scott is definitely, he's not doing a border toss like Hernandez. Let's put it out there. Comparing the two, this is 100 times safer than Hernandez's version, even the enhancement talent version. Boom. Here's one here. And here's one here. It's just the thing is with this bump, because he's coming like sliding down almost, not really being thrown, it tends to have your ankles and your feet above your head for the fold anyway. So he adjusted that. He kind of threw guys out to take like just a flat bump. We'll see it on a couple occasions, but naturally it's going to come down. I'm going to do it right here. You see the guy's naturally coming down like this. Now you see this guy's tucking his chin. Isn't going to help him a whole lot, but it's not going to hurt either. And here he comes down right there. Here's the WWE version. Pretty safe. It's definitely going to give you a little bit of a headache, but not too bad. This is the money right here. Scott standing like that, that's the razor's edge. The drop is one thing, but that's truly the position where everybody's looking up like, wow, you know? So here he goes. Nice camera cut there. Now this is where he starts doing it different, because this is Tito Santana, El Matador. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
This is where there is a glaring difference, but I have to give it to Scott. Very much respectful to a veteran and not wanting to hurt a veteran. I know the two-tier society we talked about in the Yokozuna spot. I get that, and that's true. But the fact that he could have took advantage of Tito, boom. Enhancement talent. That one there, I don't know. This guy's kind of throwing his legs over. Do you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Scott he landed him pretty safe, and the guy rolled over.
Yeah, so are you putting it on the enhancement guy, or are you putting it on Scott? Because it doesn't look any different to any of the first ones you showed.
I'm putting it a little bit on the enhancement talent, wanting to take the folding bump. Because look at his legs. Scott lands him flat pretty much, but then his legs take him over. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's scary, man. It's a scary bump to take. You know, it's not going to be the easiest bump. It's going to be a little rough. Did you catch the Easter egg?
Oh, Beverly brother. Is that what you're...
The Shaker Heights spike.
Yeah,
so a little bit of
spike,
karma there, but he took care of them. Now, these are two Minnesota guys from AWA. So they know each other, I'm sure. Yeah. And Mike took a great bump. Oh, DiBiase. Something about the way DiBiase bumps, I love this because instead of from the corner, it looked like he threw him, which he did, but he landed him flat at the same time. Watch this. I just like that. I don't know why. And Ted's a tall guy and a big guy. So, and had neck issues. So maybe Scott wanted to land him a little different.
Can you go back to that again? Because
Sure.
we're going to see this with the Diamond Dallas Page one, which is sort of towards the end of the video. And there's almost a bit where I don't know if Razor Ramon goes to his knees and then he almost pushes them forward.
He did.
Look.
Not a,
Yeah, so he gets to his knees and then he just pushes them forward. So it almost gives the illusion of a slam down, but it's a push forward and then a drop.
now
Which,
the,
yeah.
no, go on. Go on.
No, that was it. It just seems like that when I said that there's like three different versions he can give. He can give the enhancement version where he mostly folds them over. He can give the respectful version to the stars like he did with Tito Santana. And then he can give the ultra respectful version, which is this, where he goes to his knees and then just pushes them forward. So there's almost no sort of gravity is all it is.
Yeah, he's got his knees down fully. Ted is still on his upper neck. So he basically sliding him off the back of his neck and head. This is a great catch. Now, Page, I think the thing with Page, and we'll get to that, is you have to really resist Scott and be as tight as possible with your arms. Scott had him more towards the elbows than the armpit. You got to have right in the armpit, and he's gripping, if you look right here, he's gripping the armpit, the shoulder, and the top of the bicep. If you look at here, zoomed in. We'll have better footage too. But yeah, you're right. This totally took care of Ted here. Not too bad, and got a great pop from fans.
That was Ted's final singles match in the WWF, I believe, SummerSlam 93. Then he'd go to Japan for a bit of a tour, and then he was done.
He wasn't in WCW after that?
Well, he didn't wrestle.
Oh, okay. He had the neck injury all along, right? So that's probably why he took care of him too.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why he also took a razor's edge and took a clean loss, because basically he was putting Scott over on the way out.
This is the strength factor of Scott. That's dead weight over his shoulder. That's like literally like draped over his shoulder. Watch this. That's there. You can see right there. Cupped right here, cupped right there. I think with Page, he had him more towards the elbows, and that's not a great thing. But man, to talk about the strength, that was pretty high, but I think the guy also wanted to take that kind of bump. That was probably one of the best Razor Edge bumps that I saw. Here's the one of Rick Martin. Can we just appreciate, there's the light bulbs, the flashes going off. Can we just take a second to appreciate like how awesome and underrated Rick Martel was, especially as the model? He was such a boring, hey, that was my tag partner. What are you, smartass? The old Tony Garea coming for a cameo. Somebody's going to ask me to do a full cameo as Tony Garea. I guarantee it sooner or later. But here's the one you're talking about. All right, look. Tight, literally pinching the tricep, the bicep, and the armpit there.
And Rick is not helping. He's wriggling all over the place as well. If you play it in real time, just look how much emotion.
He's trying to struggle, but he's really struggling. And Scott's like, I get what you're saying. You're supposed to feign struggling, but when your legs are dangling and you're struggling, right here, that's not, it doesn't look like much, but Scott's like, oh God, I gotta get him off me. So that was probably one of the, now Rick had retired after he had some great matches with Booker T and WCW.
Yeah.
Did this Razor's Edge, and did he have a neck injury and this didn't help? I don't know the story.
What are we talking about? I'm looking at Jeff Hardy here.
No, Rick Martel.
He got injured. I think he got a leg injury.
I thought he had a neck injury at one point.
There's a neck injury at some point, but I know he tried to make a second comeback in WCW, and then he got injured in his first match back, and then he was done. But he was facing Booker T and maybe Perry Saturn in like early '98 or something like that.
I know he had a match where he wasn't injured with Booker, and it was a great match. I'm like, man, Rick can still go. I was always enjoyed his work. Bless you.
He's like an ultimate babyface that just doesn't exist anymore.
But that's why the model worked. He did such a great job because nobody ever saw that side of him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you have a perfume. You're a perfume. You're going to be a model. Doesn't make
A
sense.
smart-ass model.
But neither is Korea. Yeah, this one here, like when I watched it, I go, that's Jeff. This might have been not one of the best ones at all. I don't know if you saw this one. He put his elbow down, so Jeff did not want to take. See, look at that arm. You're begging for a broken arm, and this one is starting to come down too. Not a great one. Ooh, that one. Now that one I put on Scott. He landed this dude pretty high. That's not Mike Bell, but that's one of the guys that always did enhancement. I remember with the striped singlet. I forget the name, but man, oh, he landed hard on that one. Slow-mo. Yeah, definitely. That's one of the rougher ones. I remember Razor did one that ended up on the opening of Raw. Remember that? When they used to do the sirens and stuff for the opening of Raw. It might have been that one, or it was one just as rough that it ended up on. Now, this one here, is this the Jericho one? No, it's not. There's one with Jericho where Jericho, with his foot positioning, is like the best I've ever seen it. Just somebody trying to resist it, but not. Oh, that was rough. Is that Rex King or that's Rex? Is that one of the guys, Rex King and Steve Dahl? Remember, well done.
Oh yeah, well done. Yeah, awful presentation for a tag team. Always hate them as kids.
Oh, this one on Sean off the ladder. That's a great spot out of that.
Did you ever see? Speaking of Shawn, did you ever see the Shawn Michaels Razor's Edges on Scott?
Oh yes, yes.
In the entranceway, yeah,
yes.
like late '93 or something.
That's where they were on their way to WrestleMania for the 2 Intercontinental belts.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a hell of a spot off the ladder. He dead weighted off the ladder and just lifted him. Took care of Shane on that one. But the thing about Shane, by the way, I didn't steal Shane's show. I just need to keep reminding people of that. Shane is he reminds me of Sabu with the body type. Shane is built like a brick house. Like have you ever been in person with Shane?
Yeah.
Shane has very much an old wrestler's solid build to him, like almost old man strength. And Sabu, whenever I had to catch Sabu or when I wrestle Shane, it's like you're locking up with a brick wall, but not in a way where they're hurting you, but he's just so when he takes this bump, you can see it's like a thud in the ring because he's so solid. Watch. See what I mean? Like Shane's just a solid, built wrestler. I can't quite put it into words. Now, the kid took a great one. That's the perfect Razor's Edge that's also safe. The bump and dropping them. See what I mean? Just like that. But Shawn can take power bombs like that and other stuff that is nice, safe, flat bumps, but he instantly looks like legs are spread, arms are spread, and he's dead. So in the instant, the bump knocks him out. So really great stuff. Who's this? Oh. Now, he took care of the referee, but I wouldn't want to take this if I were... There he is.
The ref put his arm down again like Jeff Hardy did. Did you notice?
Yeah, but that's what... They're not used to taking bumps. Like Bill Alfonso, every time he got choke slammed, he'd throw his arm. That's a natural human reaction, not a stupid wrestler one. Protect yourself. All right, who we got here?
Is that the other Fuller? Like Rick Fuller?
That was Rick Fuller, I believe.
Yeah.
That's a pretty safe one. Disco always bumped.
Worst one yet.
Disco always bumped it. You're just saying that so he comments. K100.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Bump it, and he always bumped it through he always landed high on his neck for everything. There's Page. Now see where his arms are? It looks loose because Page can't tighten his biceps and be gripped here. He's being gripped down by the elbow. That's why and he took care. They're throwing trash in the ring, so what can you do? You know what I mean? And also there's stuff going on, and he's trying to throw him in a safe spot.
What was the reason for the different grip then, do you think?
He might have lost him. It might have been sweat or oil, and he slipped down. I just think it's one of those things. He couldn't get the grip.
Mm.
That's all. Maybe Page was too loose, so he grabbed the joint instead of up here. Because when he picks you up, and the second he's here, that's why they call it a razor's edge. You have to literally throw your arms out and flex your muscles to resist the grip, to tighten it so he can do that. I just think Page was loose. The juice is loose, baby. All right. So here's Jericho. You notice the feet? He hooks around to try, and even on commentary said he was trying to resist. Now look at Jericho's arms. Stiff as a board. It's perfect. But when he comes down, watch him. I love that. I'm going to go back to it. That is the best razor's edge, the way to take it. Because what Jericho did was he looped his feet back here. We're going to go in slow-mo and pause. He's up, up, up. The second, now what that did for Scott too, rather than dangling, Scott can stand there all day. You notice how he's just standing there? There's no dead weight pulling down. So when Jericho hooked, he eliminated all the weight right here. So he felt probably 150 pounds lighter. Scott comes down. Watch. The very last second, Jericho's going to loop his legs to take a proper bump. You notice how I use British terms? Proper bump. You like that?
Mm-hmm. Is that a British term? Is it?
You use proper. That's the first time I ever said proper in my life.
Oh, okay.
I'm white trash.
I didn't realize that was the thing I said.
You always say it. Crack on, too.
Crack on.
As Tyrone Biggins would say, crack on, crack on. Come on, you don't know Chappelle's show? Good Lord. We got a lot of work to do. But Jericho doesn't have any work here. He took the best razor's edge from the beginning to the end. Love it. Look at that. And he still kicked his legs up and folded himself. See, he landed safe and just did a kick over like that. Great stuff. Scott,
a lot of people. I'm sorry. I was just going to say a lot of people were accusing Scott that he would do different kind of. I mean, to a point maybe, but I don't think, apart from maybe a couple of the examples, any of them were dangerous.
I think what happens too is we're falling into a pattern. Have you noticed this? The Perry Saturn stuff, the Bagwell match, whatever else we're going to talk about. In the moment, in the heat of the moment, at the exact time, the reaction and the way your brain processes it is completely different than when you look at it years from it happening and you go, that wasn't so bad. Are we desensitized? Is hindsight 2020? Is the initial reaction more genuine and warranted than the reaction now or the lack of the reaction? It's pretty fascinating because that's what I find myself doing. I really thought that was bad when I first watched it, and now I can see there's still two different types, but he's definitely not planting people as bad as I guess people would have guessed. It's not like the Yokozuna one. The gap's not as big as that.
If there is, I know a lot of people writing in saying you should look at this, and now we have. I'm wondering if there is a razor's edge out there that's happened that we didn't see in that compilation that's somehow given Razor Ramon, Scott Hall a bad name or the move a bad name. So if there's one that we missed that you're specifically thinking of, write in the comments, let us know, and we'll watch it in a future episode.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now that Scott, very political, smart worker, in and outside the ring. This is where there's a difference between Scott Hall and the Beverly brothers. Scott Hall, my guess would be the first one or two killed the enhancement talent. Just killed them. That might be the one that got his reputation. But then somebody might have said to Scott, it might have been Sean. Might have been anybody that said, hey, man, if you're going to do it to the main roster guys, you have to adjust that a bit. You see what I mean? Whereas with the Beverly brothers, they never adjusted anything, even on their own self-awareness. And that's why they never did that finish to anybody but enhancement talents. As you saw right here, they became enhancement talents for Razor Ramon. That's what I think that the adjustment, the compromise, is what Scott got and what the Beverly brothers did not get.
I think it's also worth mentioning with the Beverly brothers, either Wayne Bloom or Mike Enos, one of them left and left the other one high and dry for like 3 months or 6 months in the WWF. And therefore, the guy that was remaining just became, for all intents and purposes, a jobber, which often happens with a tag team where one of them leaves and then what else is there to do for the other guy, I guess, in that sense.
Well, that's the Jim Ross thing, too. Hey, for good or bad, if your team's done, you're in the desert for a while. He said that during the Mike Rotunda clip. By the way, my wife made sure we got into, I told him we got it in. She loves it. 5.
That's 5.
That was for
there you
my
go.
wife.
Over under. That was over under. That was. So
that was for my beautiful wife. She loves it.
Good man.